IGAD sometimes fail due to political divisions, corruption, or lack of funding, making external intervention unnecessary, and it may end up the African countries not getting the help they require. Another point, Chair and the honorable members present, international intervention provides genocide and war crimes. For example, the Rwandan genocide in 1994 could have been stopped earlier if the international community had intervened in time. International forces helped you by giving out the point and continue rejecting the motion by stating that weak and divided regional organization, they won't or they will not be able to help the African countries and regional bodies. As I said before, ECOWAS, IGAD, and SADC often lack unity or funding to take decision actions that is required within time at the immediate effect. Example, I'll give you an example of in Mali, the external mediators can be more important since they are not emotionally or politically attached to the conflict. So it means that it's going to be, they will not be going for the reasons of favorisms or any other upcomings or relations. Honorable members, I'll end my argument by giving the last point, which is not the last point in rejecting the motion, but the last point of my argument. International organizations have the conflict in Africa. This means, thank you.
Thank you, PNO. Let us welcome the end of the governments.
Our judges and fellow debate members, good afternoon. I take this opportunity to propose on the motion that clearly states that this House regrets the internalization of the African nations' conflicts. Now, I want to major on the point that says there is the escalation of conflicts. Now, our brother here has told us that during the Rwandan genocide, you told us that the external powers, like the African Union, they came and tried to stop the conflicts. Now, you know what caused the Rwandan genocide? First of all, let me tell you that it took place during the time, it was in 1944, where it was triggered by a plane crash, killing the Rwandan president. Now, this event, it caused an uprising in Rwanda, where each rival group. Now, in these perpetrators, we learn in history that over 800,000 are waiting for these powers, such as the African Union, the United Nations, to solve the crime. Now, since they did not stop the crime, they continued. There were very many wars in that country. People were killing each other. A lot of bloodshed was caused. Now, if it were not for the Rwandan Patriotic Front, in abbreviation known as the RPF, to control the killing could not be ended. That is why that we here strongly propose the motion that says that here, these powers and their external countries, they are not helping Africa anymore. We will just stay there, we will wait upon them, we will depend on them for them to come and solve our crimes, for them to come and solve our conflicts. And when they come, they just conflict with us, they join the opposing side, they help us to kill our brothers and sisters. They do not help as Africa. Now we have been assisted to such a point that we can now stand on our own. We hear the old saying that says, teach a man, do not give a man fish, but rather teach him how to fish. For how long will we continue receiving support? For how long will we continue being supported with the weapons, with the armor, with the guns, while we can produce our own? We can manufacture our own weapons. We can solve our internal conflicts. You cannot be able to depend on other people. People who do not understand your cultures. People who do not understand your rules. People who cannot understand your laws. People who have never been in your country. People who just come there, they try to colonize you. They try to take use of your resources. They try to take advantage of what you have. Now, let us depend on our own resources so that we may end these conflicts. Thank you.
Thank you, MG. Let us welcome the member of opposition. Tell us your name.
My name is Emmanuel. That's my name. Emmanuel is my name. So my speech begins. In 3, 2, 1. First things first. I'm here to strongly oppose the motion that this House regrets the internalization of African conflict. First, they try to tell you that matters to do with the internalization of African conflict by the first speaker is that it has actually worsened the situation in the African countries. But this is it. They fail to actually clearly understand what is it when we talk about the internalization of African conflict. In this case, we are actually not talking about the military effort. In this case, we are actually not talking about people getting into force. We are not actually talking about people getting to actually inflict power or to exploit Africa. But rather, what are these international internalization? It refers to international actors such as the foreigner coalition and to a large extent some military intervention by use of diplomatic efforts like peacekeeping mission to ensure that actually peace gets to Africa. So in short, these are places whereby Africa gets to grow by what they actually get to learn from this international society. This is, they come and tell you by the first speaker that you know what, it doesn't actually bring fruits. They also come and tell you matters to do with Rwanda, matters to do with genocide. They forget to tell you that the same Rwanda that they're talking about, that's the same country, is well known when it comes to matters to do with infrastructure these days. The same country, it is not the same as indeed international investors who actually came to the country and helped the people to grow. So that actually makes them actually totally mess the debate. They come and tell you that you know what, they can actually solve problems peacefully themselves. They forget that at a point in time whereby we are talking about actually who are coming into our place. They are not just here to solve the problem and the conflict we have, but rather these guys are coming into Africa so that they can be able to even sell to us the skills they have. So for them, it's a total bad case. They tell you that Libya has actually free health services. They are forgetting that this is Africa and actually resources are not that much intense. So to a larger extent, we actually need these donors, we actually need these grants to actually work best. Sit down a bit. They tell you that a mature continent free from colonization. This is it. Colonization will come best at a point in time whereby they only rely on their resources. whereby we believe it will reach a point whereby they will start depending on each other as Africans, to a point whereby they forget that actually they can do what they can get to run from our side. But on our side, what do we say? The moment you get to internalize your issues, different countries actually get to come on board. You talk about China, you talk about Europe. At the same time, what will happen? Colonization will not come in place because different countries are actually investing in you and are actually providing skills and labor for them at large. That will put them off. Why our side wins this debate? Remember, the debate is this house regrets. They forget to tell us because we are regretting they never gave us a counterfactual fact on what they are supporting. So that one took them off. What do you bring? We tell you this is the case. One, they should have told us what they are bringing. But because they never said it, this is what you are telling me. Their world is a world of fantasy. They are trying to imagine it working, but in our world, we are telling you, even the so-called countries in Europe, this is how they actually came to deal best and they worked. For example, we talk about you get to actually work its best. So for them, it's a total mess up, and for sure, they want it happy. You know what I mean?
Thank you, the member of opposition. Let us welcome the whip. The government. The government. Please tell us your name and we are reading the diary.
My name is that we regret the internalization of African conflicts. My brother has called it internalization of African conflicts. So, we emphasize that the internalization of African conflicts in Africa has often led to more harm than good. While the intention may have to bring peace and stability, the reality is that foreign invention has frequently exacerbated tensions, undermined local governance, and resulted in unintended consequences that prolong suffering. We argue that the imposition of external solutions often disregard the complexities of local context and the voices of the people directly affected by those conflicts. Instead of fostering genuine dialogue and sustainable solutions, international involvement has sometimes prioritized geopolitical interests over the needs and the rights of African nations. For example, you are talking about the AU, which is an African Union. It is not an international union. It is an African Union. So, and also the Al-Shabaab, the United Nations. The United Nations give us the support to fight the Al-Shabaab, isn't it? So, even now, have the Al-Shabaab stopped fighting us? They haven't. But now, the Al-Shabaab use so very sophisticated weapons. Where do the weapons come from? So they come from America. Those nations. So, in conclusion, we assert that the internalization of African conflict has not only been ineffective but also has contributed to a cycle of violence and instability. It is essential to acknowledge the agency of African nations in resolving their issues and to support their home ground solutions that respect their sovereignty, local actors, and promoting true peace from within. That's my point.
Thank you, the government whip. Let us welcome the opposition whip. The opposition whip. abortion. Welcome the abortion lesson.
My name is Julie Mary, and I'm here to strongly oppose the motion which says that this House rejects the internationalization of African conflicts.